Hello friends, welcome to Bankers Zone. Here we'll be discussing the role of a priority sector in the and MSME in the Indian economic structure. So see, role of a priority sector and MSME in the Indian economy. So first you have to understand what do you mean by the priority sector. What is a priority sector? So basically this is the sector or the area where priority should be given to give the loan by the banks. Okay, so priority sector is the sector where priority will be given by the bank for giving the loans. Now MSME is nothing but the micro, small and medium enterprises. That means basically these are the small scale industry. It may be a micro industry, it may be a small industry, or it may be a medium industry or medium enterprises. Okay, so actual definition we will be discussing, no need to worry about, but here you have to just understand the meaning of the words. Okay, now see, you can see here micro, small, medium enterprises contribute significantly to the growth of the Indian economy. So why we are giving priority to give loan to the MSME? Because this sector contribute in the Indian economy's growth. And how? See, the sector MSME contribute 45% of the manufacturing output, more than 40% of the export, and 28% of the GDP. So you can see how huge contribution by this MSME only. See that MSME contributes 28%, more than 28% of a GDP. Okay, almost 1/3 GDP coming from the MSME, right? Apart from that, whatever export we are doing, for that 40% contribution by the MSME, and we can say whatever the manufacturing industry's output, out of that 45% by the MSME. So such a huge contribution by the MSME sector in the Indian economy, and that's why government and RBI has also decided to give them a loan in the priority. Okay, so let's understand in the detail definition and the role of the priority sector. So see here, several priority sectors such as agriculture, small scale industries not getting the credit loans from the bank. So this was the situation almost before 1967, that when a farmer approaches, when a farmer go to the bank, that time there was no nationalized bank, right? So bank will be denying loan to the farmer. Why? Because the bank may think that there will be some problem in the agriculture sector, or there may be a famine. How the farmer will repay? So there is a lot of burden on the banks also, right? And the time banks were private banks, so bank were not having any bound to give loan to the farmer. Bank were giving loan only to the corporates. Okay, so that's why after nationalization this whole scenario has been changed. Okay, that we will be discussing. So before that, what happened? Government and even RBI found that several sectors are not getting due their loans from the banks. Okay, so that's why there is amendment in the banking law. Okay, that is called as the Banking Law Amendment Bill 1967, that was tabled in the Lok Sabha on December 23, 1967. Banks were directed to align their activity with national objective through the social control. Means what? Here the important bill was put before the Lok Sabha, okay, in 1967, and in that bill they have simply stated banks should align their objective in accordance with the social control. Okay, so see here, that bill said that the bank was directed to align their activity in national objective through the social control. That means they have basically directed banks for the priority sector. Okay, a National Credit Council meeting on July 1968 happened, and it was stressed that commercial banks should boost the financing to the priority sectors such as agriculture and the small scale industry. So this is how basically the sanctioning loan to the priority sector has been started in India. Now furthermore, there are some list of priority sector identified in India. Okay, list of the priority sectors. So RBI has given that list basically, right? RBI revised the priority sector guideline on September 2020 by including the bank finance to startup up to 50 crores, loan to the farmer for even installation of the solar power plant, for solarization of the grid connected agriculture pump, and loan to the establishments of compressed biogas plants also. So basically, if there is a question in the recent, as per the recent guideline by the RBI, which of the following is included? Okay, so startup finance to the startup. Okay, so you can easily say for finance giving loan to the startup, it is up to the 50 cr. Then installation of a solar power plant. Okay, that may be for the agriculture pumps. And the third, the compressed biogas plants. Okay, so these three sectors RBI has included in the list of a priority sector. Okay, that three areas. So that three area you have to note. Now, what are the sectors which are the priority sector? Okay, so see here the list of priority sector. Agriculture is one of the important priority sector where bank should give the loan. Next, MSME means micro, small and the medium enterprises. Export credit. So if any exporter is there, he is exporting their goods to say USA. So in that return, India will be getting dollars. So foreign currency we are getting. So it is very good for the Indian economy. So we should give loan to the exporters. Education. Obviously, education is important. So education loan is given by the banks to the different students. Housing is important. So housing loan is also the under the priority sector category. Social infrastructure. What is social infrastructure? For example, building the roadways, national highways or any railways. So these are the infrastructure. Apart from that, the healthcare facilities, these are the social infrastructure. Renewable energy. Okay, obviously, for example, the solar power plants. Okay, apart from that, we can say wind energy. These are the energy we should it is available, so that should be in the priority sector category. There are some others apart from that. Weaker section. There are some weaker section in the society who are economically weaker. For them also the RBI directed to sanction the loans. Apart from that, you have to remember the figures. Okay, so see here the priority sector lending norms. The priority sector lending target and sub targets are based on the adjusted net bank credit. What is that? A and BC and or credit equivalent of the off balance sheet exposure as applicable on a corresponding date of the preceding year. So remember what the see what is the priority sector target. First understand here. See priority sector target. Okay, this is the percentage of amount of loan that bank have to give to particular sector. Now see, it is percentage of A and BC or CEOBE. A and BC means adjusted net bank credit. Means what? Suppose bank has sanctioned total 150 CR of loan. Total bank has sanctioned. Out of that, okay, net only you have to consider. So minus 50 you have to subtract. And net loan bank has sanctioned 100 CR. So out of that 100 CR you have to calculate some percentage. For example, 40% you have to give to the priority sector. Why that 50 has been we have subtracted? For the purpose of netting. And what is included, what we have to subtract, that we will be discussing in detail in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so here for instance you understand only why the net bank credit. Net bank credit means total loan bank has given 50 CR. Out of that RBI said you can minus something. Okay, so minus 50 I have done here. So remaining 100. So out of that 100, that is there 100 is nothing but your A and BC net bank credit after adjustment. Okay, so after adjustment RBI say 40% you should sanction to the priority sector. So 40% means 40 crore you have to sanction for the different priority sectors. Okay, now what do you mean by CEBOC? CEBOC means it is the credit equivalent of the off balance sheet exposure. Means what? See, what is off balance sheet exposure? Okay, credit equivalent of the off balance sheet exposure. Okay, credit balance off a balance sheet. See, there are some, for example, there is a bank guarantee. Okay, there is bank guarantee or there is letter of credit. Okay, so bank has given guarantee for rupees say 100 CR. Okay, so you know the bank can give the guarantee. Okay, you know that we will be discussing the concept later on. So bank has given guarantee for the 100 CR. Okay, and that guarantee is for say 5 years. Okay, for 5 year bank is taking guarantee. Now that 100 CR is not given loan, this is only guarantee, but this is for next 5 years. So bank have not sure whether bank have to pay or not. Okay, because guarantor is the bank have given the guarantee. So these 100 CR is not direct loan. So how can you calculate? So for that purpose you have to use the term credit equivalent of off balance sheet exposure. That means see, 100 crore is the obligation to the bank. It is mandatory on the bank. It may be in the future, but not necessary today. So that bank guarantee may be coming to the bank. Bank is liable maybe in the future, okay, but not today. So that equivalent factor we have to calculate. That is called as the credit equivalent of the off balance sheet exposure. Okay, so for that some percentage you have to take as the priority sector lending. Okay, very simple. I repeat, what do you mean by ANBC? ANBC means adjusted net bank credit. Bank has total loan of say 150 minus 50 allowed to subtract, so 100 is a 100 is remained for the only doing the adjustment or calculation for the purpose of the priority sector lending. Okay, and what is the credit equivalent of the off balance sheet exposure? Simply whatever the obligation that may coming in the future. Okay, so that credit equivalent you have to calculate. Okay, that detail we have to discuss in the upcoming sessions. Okay, now here you remember the figures. Okay, what do you mean by the priority sector we have discussed, and what are the targets? See here, remember that is up to the preceding year only. Okay, that means in the previous year, for example 2022, bank has A and BC adjusted net bank credit, for example 1000. Okay, so for previous year is 1000 banks credit. So for a target for the next year, that is 2023, target will be based on the previous year's figures. Okay, so that previous year is also important for you. Okay, so they may ask you question to calculate ANBC, average of preceding 3 years should be taken or 2 years should be taken. So remember, only preceding years figures are being taken. Now apart from that, see here the target you should remember first. Okay, so see, priority sector, domestic commercial banks excluding the RRB and SFB, small finance bank, foreign bank having 20 or more branches. So basically domestic commercial bank means what? The banks like say SBI, Union Bank, Bank of Baroda, ICICI, HDFC, these are the commercial bank. Domestic means they are Indian. Okay, so commercial banks, so these are the commercial banks. Apart from that, the bank which is having, if the bank is foreign bank and which is having more than 20 branches in the India, for example I will say the bank like say CT Bank. Okay, CT Bank. So CT Bank is a foreign bank having more than 20 branches in India. For them also the criteria of a private sector is applicable. And what is criteria? 40%. Okay, whatever the loan you are giving to as a bank, out of that 100% of ANBC or the credit, 40% you should give to the priority sector. Understand? So the criteria is very clear. Simply remember the figure 40%. Okay, simply remember the figure 40%. But that 40% of priority sector lending is not applicable for the regional rural banks and a small finance bank. They have different figures. Okay, remember that 40% is for our banks, generally big banks like SBI, ICICI, HDFC, Union Bank. Okay, for RRB and SFB they are having separate target. Okay, and also the foreign bank like a CT Bank having more than 20 branches. So for that for them also this criteria 40% is applicable. Now if a foreign bank in India which is having the branches less than 20, okay, for example I will take the name of say any bank, any for say USA Bank. Okay, USA Bank, this bank is having only 10 branches in India. Okay, so what is the target for them for private sector? See, 40% of the ANBC or COB, that is your credit equivalent of the off balance sheet exposure, whichever is higher, up to which 32% can be in the form of the lending to export, and not less than 8% can be to any other priority sector. So that is important figure you have to understand. See, here is also target 40% priority sector. Here is also 40%. Okay, but difference here for the foreign banks which is having less branches in India, that out of that 40%, 32% they are allowed to sanction the loan to the exporters and 8% to any priority sector. Any priority sector. But here there is no sub criteria. 40% is important Okay, so that will be discussing sub criteria further. But here for the foreign banks which is having less than 20%, less than 20 branches in the India, for them 40% is the overall target, but within that 32% should be given to the exporters and 8% to any other priority sector. Okay, I think you have understood. Now what is the criteria for the rural banks? See, for regional rural banks, 75% of their credit, okay, or 75% of A and B C or C or B, whichever is higher. However, lending to the medium enterprises, social infrastructure and the renewable energy shall be reckoned for the priority sector achievement up to 15% of the NBC. Okay, so what is their see regional rural banks? Okay, the motive of RRB is mainly for the finance to the priority sector, motive of their establishment. Now RRB has a target. See, out of 100, see here, if the RRBs are giving loan 100, out of that 100, 75 they should give directly to the priority sector. So such a huge loan directly they have to give to the priority sector. Okay, and further they have one sub sector criteria you can note here. For medium enterprises, social infrastructure and the renewable energy, okay, priority sector achievement only up to 15% you should go. That means for these three sector, okay, you target is 75%, okay, but combining that three sector limit is 15%. You can sanction loan more than 15%, but that will not be counted in the priority sector. For RRB, limit is out of 100, 75% should be priority sector, and there is a cap for medium enterprises. So social infrastructure and renewable energy, cap is 15%. Okay, I think it is clear. Now what is the criteria for SFB, small finance bank? Again they are having simply 75%. They are having 75%. They are also having 75%. There is a 40% and there is a 40%. Very easy. Okay, so that you have to remember. Commercial banks plus foreign banks with having more than 20 branches. Here less than 20 branches. Here RRB 75%, but a cap of 15% for a medium renewable energy and the social infrastructure, and a small finance bank flat 75% they have to give loan to the priority sector. Okay, so that figure you have to remember for exam point of view. Okay, now see here further, agriculture. If the sector is agriculture, how much we should give the loan? Okay, now again, if there is a commercial bank and or the foreign bank having more than 20 branches in the India, okay, for them it is mandatory 18% should be sanctioned to the agriculture. Okay, total target for them is 40%. Out of that they should sanction 18% to the agriculture sector. Okay, out of which 10% should be for the small and the marginal farmers. Okay, now what is the definition of small and marginal farmer? Who is having less than 2 hectare land. Okay, that we will be discussing in detail, but here you just understand, out of that 40 is total. Out of that 40, 18% of the NBC should be to the agriculture sector. Okay, and out of that 18, 10% should be for the small and marginal farmers. Okay, so you have to understand three figures. For priority sector lending, 40% criteria, 18% to the agriculture, and in that, within that 18%, 10% should be sanctioned to the small and medium, small or the marginal farmers, SMF, small marginal farmers. That 40% of ANBC, 18% of ANBC, but the 10% is not of ANBC. It is out of that 18% of agriculture criteria. When we will solve the problem, that time you will get it. But meanwhile, for instance, you remember the three figures. Priority sector is 40, 18 to the agriculture, 10 to the MSF, that is my small marginal farmers. Now, if the enterprises is micro enterprises, for them 7.5% of the NBC should be sanctioned as a priority sector. Okay, so overall is 40%. Out of that 18% should be agriculture, 7.5% to the micro enterprises, and for weaker section also you have to sanction the 12% of NBC. Okay, so here three figure you have to remember. For agri 18%, micro 7.5%, and weaker section 12%. That figure, and overall 40%. That you have to remember. Now the same things for the, if they are having less than 20 branches, they are not having any criteria or any target for the, that means sanctioning particularly agriculture, they don't have. Sanctioning particular micro, they don't have. Sanctioning particular to weaker, they don't have. Okay, but they are having what target? 32% out of 40%, 32% should be sanctioned for the exporters and 8% to any sector. Okay, this is the criteria. Now for RRB, they are having total overall 75%. Okay, they are having overall 75% target. Out of that, again they are having 18% for the agriculture, 7.5% for the micro enterprises, and 15% they are having for the weaker section. Okay, so remember, you compare, you remember normal banks 12%, RRB 15% for the private sector. Okay, now for a small finance bank, again they are having 18%, 7.5% for the micro, 18 for the agri, 7.5 for the micro, and 12 for the weaker section. Okay, I repeat all the figures for you. Okay, so you can see here. This is the domestic and the commercial banks. 40% they are having 40% overall target, they are having 75% overall target, they are having 75% overall target. For agriculture it is 18%, micro 7.5, and weaker section 12%. There is no sub limit, only they are having 32% should be sanctioned to the for exporters. For RRB 75% is the total target. Out of that, 18 should be agri, 7.5% to the micro, and 15 to the weaker section. For a small finance bank, again 18 to the agriculture sector, 7.5 to the here micro, and 12% to the weaker section. So that figures you have to remember for exam point of view. Okay, now we'll move to the next. Definition of MSME. What do you mean by MSME? What is the definition of MSME? So see, in terms of the Government of India's Gazette notification, see, government is changing definition of MSME when it is needed. Okay, so now you see here the terms of government, in terms of the government's notification 26 July 2020, micro, medium and small enterprises is changed as follow. Okay, what is the latest definition that we'll be discussing. Okay, so see here, what do you mean by the micro enterprise, what is the small enterprise, and what is the medium enterprise. Okay, so now see here, micro enterprise, small and medium. Micro means the enterprise or business or industry is the enterprise when investment in the plant or the machinery or the equivalent does not exceed 1 CR and turnover does not more than 5 CR. Okay, what is limit? 1 CR, 5 CR. Okay, means 1 CR for the investment. If you are investing more than 1 CR, you are not micro. If investment up to 1 CR, you are micro, and total turnover should not be more than 5 CR. Okay, then you are the micro enterprises. For a small enterprise is an enterprise where investment in the plant and machinery or equivalent does not exceed 10 CR. So for small, investment is 10 CR limit, and turnover should not exceed 50 CR, and turnover should not exceed the 50 CR. If we look for the medium enterprises is the enterprise where investment in the plant and machinery equivalent does not exceed 50 CR. So investment here is 50 CR, right? And turnover should not exceed 250 CR. Okay, so that you have to understand. See, for you can see here, for micro, investment 1 CR, turnover 5 CR. For small, investment up to 10 CR, turnover up to 50 CR. And for a medium, investment up to 50 CR and turnover up to 250 CR. Okay, 250 crores. So that figures you have to remember. So I will write here in short: 1 CR, 5 CR, 10 CR, and here 50 CR. Here should be a 50 CR to 250. Okay, so in this way you can remember. Here is a investment, here is a turnover, here is a micro, here is a small, and here is medium. Okay, now see, here is investment and here is turnover. Investment up to 1 CR and turnover up to 5 CR, micro industry. Then 10 times investment up to 10 cr, investment up to 50 cr, small industry. Now multiply by 5 times. Up to 50 cr investment, medium. Up to 250 cr turnover, medium. Okay, so that is and so that both criteria should be fulfilled, investment as well as the turnover. So it is important to understand. You see, definitely there will be one question based on this for your examination. Okay, so remember, I repeat, if investment in the your company, it may be in plant machinery or equivalent, if it is up to 1 cr and your turnover of your company is less than 5 cr, you are the micro. What is small? If your company is having investment up to 10 cr and the turnover of your company is less than 50 cr, you are the small enterprise. Medium enterprise means if your turnover is up to 250 and investment is up to 50, okay, then you are the medium enterprise. Okay, now see, all the enterprises are required to register under the Udyam registration. Okay, this is the Udyam registration, basically one website. You can go there. You have to go with the Aadhaar enabled, so you have to put Aadhaar number, OTP will come and you will get immediate Udyam registration certificate. Okay, so it is government has now, it is mandatory to all the MSME that they should go for this registration, Udyam registration. While account opening, you are taking we will be taking this from the customers. Okay, now the registration procedure is entirely online, digital, paperless, and it is based on the self declaration. As I have already told you how to get the Udyam certificate, it is just explained here. There is no document required for the Udyam registration. Okay, Udyam means what? Simply the business person will go to the website, they will he will put his Aadhaar number and details, he will get a OTP and automatically he will be generating the Udyam registration certificate. So it is very easy procedure which is linked to Aadhaar basically. That's why it is online digital. Okay, so very easy. So here important thing you should understand, only the definitions: micro enterprise, medium enterprise and small enterprise. These are the important, very important. Okay, now see the role and significance of the MSME in the economic development. So MSME account 90% of the businesses and more than 50% of the employment globally. Okay, so out of 100 businesses, there are 90% businesses from the MSME sector. Okay, MSME. Okay, in terms of the, if you consider the whole world, out of whole world, okay, globally, and out of the total, if 100 are the people employed, out of that 50 people are employed directly in the MSE, micro, small, medium. Okay, it is we are talking about globally, not for India. Okay, so you can understand the significance of the MSME basically in the whole economic development. So bank credit to the MSME, how bank is giving loans to the MSME sector. The banking sector lending to the industry has picked up, led by the disbursal to the micro, small and the medium enterprises. The higher credit growth for the MSME sector may have come due to the extensions of the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which is extended by the government till March 31st, 2022. Okay, so there is one scheme name you should remember: emergency credit line guarantee scheme. Okay, due to that, the deadline of that government has extended up to March 2022. Due to that, there is a lot of help to the different entrepreneurs, right, for their increased production. Basically that scheme was very much helpful to the entrepreneurs during the COVID period. Now employment generation, MSME sector has been creating 11.1 crore job in the rural and urban area across the country. So how can big impact by the MSME sector? 10 point around total populations. Okay, so 10% you can easily say. Okay, so 11.1 crore job has been in the sector of MSME. So you can see 360.41 lakh in the manufacturing, 0.07 lakh in the non-captive electricity generation, and 387.1 in the trade. Okay, and this is just figure for your reference. Okay, you don't need to worry about this. You just here observe what is the importance of the MSME sector. Okay, how much job the MSME has created in the urban and rural combinedly. 11.1 CR. Okay, so here you can easily say, for globally, if we consider out globally more than 50% employment in the MSME sector, and 90% of the businesses total in the globally are from the MSME. Okay, so here you just understand the importance of the MSME sector. Now see, trade, import and export for the MSME. MSME's share in the export assumes significance, as the government has been targeting 1 trillion export by the financial year 2027. Okay, so you can remember that figure. What is the figure? 1 trillion. Government has targeted $1 trillion export by the 2027. In accordance with the target, the government had added the capacity building of a first time MSME export, that is CBFTE scheme, capacity building of the first time MSME exporters to enhance the quality of MSME. Okay, so they will be guiding them how their product should be, the quality of their product is going to be increased, and how they can match the global benchmarks. Okay, so here we understood one scheme. Okay, you remember the name. If the exporter is exporting first time, for them the scheme applicable is capacity building of the first time MSME exporters, CBFTE. Okay, so that they will enhance the quality of their product in the benchmark to the global. Now MSME sector has helped the country to achieve the following objective. Okay, due to the MSME, high contribution in the domestic production by the MSME, significant export earning by the MSME, low investment requirement, operational flexibility, location-wise mobility, then capacity to develop the appropriate indigenous technology, import substitution, contribution towards the defense production, then technology-oriented industry, competitiveness in the export market. So these are some sectors only. You don't need to worry about this. Okay, just you go through it. So these are basically the sectors where MSME helped us. Now see, contribution of MSME in GDP. Okay, that figures are now important. The industry generate over than 45% of the manufactured production, more than 40% of the export, and more than 28% of the GDP. Okay, so and around how much persons are employed here? So how much? Meanwhile, so basically you remember here. Okay, so 45% of the manufacturing production. So see, if the total out of manufacturing production 40% from the MSME, then more than 40 here 45%, more than 40% export is from the MSME, and for GDP, you consider the GDP, more than 20% is from MSME. That few figure, remember that 3 figures. More than 45% from the manufacturing production or industrial production, 40% out of total export, 40% is from MSME, and out of total GDP, 28% is found to be contribution by the MSME. Okay, apart from that, see this figure, around 111 million people were employed in the MSME. They are getting job in the MSME. Okay, so you can just imagine the contribution of MSME in the GDP. Now after agriculture, this is the second most important source of employment. Okay, in the previous chapter we learned agriculture is the primary. Okay, agriculture is the primary sector, and that sector contributes highest employment for our Indian people. Okay, agriculture is the sector which provide highest employment in the India. After agriculture, the second most important source is the MSME. Okay, this is the MSME. Okay, and in Asia, see, as India grows to 5 trillion economy, the Ministry of MSME set a goal of increasing to the MSME sector contribution up to 15%. So now government has also understood, government has set a target of a $5 trillion economy. This is the target by the government. So government under that is also assuming that we will increase the contribution of MSME by 50% by 2025. Okay, 50%. Now currently what is it is more than 28%. Okay, so that figures you can remember. Now see, in the recent initiative in the MSME sector, what are the recent initiative in the MSME? In Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India. Okay, Start of India, Stand up India. See, in a recent definition, the difference between the manufacturing and services in the MSME is abolished. Okay, so difference between manufacturing and services is abolished. See, in the previous slide we understood the definition of economics, the definition of the MSME. It includes the investment and turnover. Okay, so previously there was separate definition for the manufacturing industries and services industries. Now 2022 onwards there is a single definition for the MSME. Okay, so basically difference between the manufacturing units or the service unit which is abolished. Now based on the turnover and the investment there is a categories. Numerous announcement under the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, okay, that helped to the MSME sector. Make in India under the it is the initiative, and the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat means self-reliant India campaign, which have played a significant role in the enhancing the businesses and the local manufacturing. Make in India. What is Make in India scheme? So see, this scheme introduced the Make in India program in September 2014 as a part of the larger set of nation building initiative. The Make in India project is built on the 4 pillars. Okay, what are the pillars? New processes, new infrastructure, new sector, and new mindset. Okay, so that you have to remember. Make in India scheme, that program is based on what? There are total 4 important pillars. Okay, 4 pillars are there. Okay, what are that? You just see here. First is the new processes, second is new infrastructure, third is new sector, and fourth is new mindset. Okay, so that you have to remember, because this is important for your exam point of view. Okay, so new processes, new infrastructure, new sector, and new mindset. Okay, that 4 pillar you have to remember for exam point of view. These are the 4 pillar of the Make in India scheme. Make in India action plan aimed to increase the manufacturing sector's contribution of a GDP to 25% by 2022. Okay, so this plan is aimed to increase the manufacturing sector's contribution in the GDP. Okay, so what you have to remember from this, you have to only remember the 4 pillars. What are the 4 pillars of Make in India? New processes, new infrastructure, new sector, and the new mindset. Okay, apart from that, see here the emergency credit line guarantee scheme. Okay, see, I have already told you in the previously, emergency credit line guarantee scheme that was launched during COVID. Okay, the government introduced a 3 lakh crore collateral free credit scheme. Okay, the target was set 3 lakh crore. Okay, and that intended to benefit more than 45 lakh of MSME. Okay, so you can remember the figure 3 lakh crore. Emergency credit line guarantee scheme was launched during the COVID, so that the MSME will get some loan, which is the emergency loan. Okay, by the way of emergency credit line guarantee scheme during COVID, to enhance their production basically. So 3 lakh crore was the collateral fee. There is no guarantee or a collateral security is required. What is collateral? Means some guarantee. Like for example, if you are taking loan, then your land may be used as a collateral, building may be used as a collateral, or your gold may be kept as a collateral. Something you have to give to the bank as a security. That is basically, well, that is collateral. Okay, now see here. What is the emergency credit line guarantee scheme that was launched during COVID? 3 lakh crore collateral fee credit loan was given, and which was benefited more than 45 lakh of MSME. Now, Credit Guarantee Fund Trust, CGTF, Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises, it is also called as the CGTMSE. Okay, now see, individuals, micro and small enterprises can apply for the collateral free loan up to the 1 CR. Okay, that means if you are the MSME, micro small medium industry, you can apply the loan which is collateral free. That means no guarantee, no security is required. okay, and up to the 1 CR you will directly get, and that is basically supported by the Ministry of MSME and Small Scale Industry Development Bank of India, that is CDB. Okay, so here you remember how that CGTMSE run. Basically it is the trust. CGTMSE trust is created by the government, and that government taking some fees. Okay, that fees has been taken. Okay, and they will provide the guarantee for the loan which bank is given collateral free, that means without security. Okay, so this is basically the funda behind the CGTMSE. Now that CGTMSE scheme run by the Ministry of MSME and the CDB, that is CDB bank. Okay, so that you remember. Now the Ministry of MSME launched the credit guarantee scheme to facilitate the flow of credit to the MSE sector. So which scheme launched by the MSME Ministry? Credit guarantee scheme, CGS. Now the interest subsidy eligibility certificate. So what is it? Basically it is a plan has been implemented as a funding mechanism for the Khadi program run by the India's Khadi institution. Okay, it facilitates borrowing from bank and bridge the gap between the availability of the fund from the budgetary sources and the real financial requirement. Okay, so you remember the program name, the interest subsidiary eligibility certificate. Interest subsidiary eligibility certificate. That program is related to the Khadi. You remember the word Khadi. Okay, that is sufficient for you. Interest subsidy eligibility certificate about the Khadi. Okay, that you remember. Okay, now Startup India. What do you mean by Startup India? You know, right? Startup India was the program initiative launched by Government of India. So see, the started by the Government of India for Startup India initiative, that was started in 2016 January, and tagline is Startup India, Stand Up India. What is tagline of Startup India? Startup India, Stand Up India. The initiative intended to create the robust environment for forecasting innovation, promoting long-term economic growth, and creating large-scale employment opportunity. Okay, so that you understood, you should take note of it. Okay, so that initiative is for robust environment for forecasting or fostering the innovation, promoting the long-term economic growth, and creating large-scale employment. So basically overall development of the economy. Now the Startup India scheme aim to support by offering the better finances, including taxes and the breaks. Okay, how it works? They are going to provide this support by offering the better finances and including the tax, and that means they will provide some relief in the even taxes and the other tariffs. Now what is the Stand Up India? The government launched the Stand Up India scheme to provide the business opportunity to those who are either female or belong to the SC/ST category. So that thing you have to must remember. What is the eligibility criteria for a Stand Up India? It may be the female or SC/ST category. Okay, either female from any category or the irrespective of the gender, that person should belong to the SC or ST category. Okay, that is the eligibility criteria for Stand Up India. Okay, and that scheme will provide the financial assistance, that is basically the loan to start their businesses. Now these individuals are given a special loan ranging from 10 lakh to 1 CR. So how much loan they are getting? Generally 10 lakh to 1 CR loan they are eligible to get under the scheme Stand Up India. Okay, and the rate of interest will be also low because it is government funded. Okay, now see PLI. PLI means Production Linked Incentive Scheme. It is important scheme. PLI, Production Linked Incentive. So name itself you can get it by the name. See, Production Linked Incentive means you produce more, you will get more incentive. You produce more, you will get more incentive. Okay, that is the Production Linked Incentive scheme by the central government. Now see, that scheme provide qualifying manufacturers, that means some manufacturer who are eligible, right? Incentive they will get ranging from 4 to 6% on additional sales above the base year of 1920 for a 4 to 6 year period. Okay, what they are getting? They will get, the industry will get the incentive 4 to 6% on the additional sale. That means, see, base year is 1920. In 1920, that company has sale, for example, for 100 cr. Okay, if there is a increase 4 to 6%, okay, so I will say 5% increase in next year. So they have done 105 cr. Additional sale is what? 5. So additional sale is 5 cr. Additional is 5 cr. So they will get incentive 4 to 6% on additional sale. So that figure you can forget. So in 1920, company has 100 cr. In next year 2021, company has 105. So increased production, say 5 cr. Okay, so on that 5 cr, company on that 5 cr, additional incentive of 4 to 6%. So if it is a 4% on 5 cr, or it may be a 6% on 5 cr, that as an incentive it will be given by the government to the business persons. Okay, so this is very easy scheme. What you have to remember? You have to remember the base year. Okay, so what is the base year? Base year is 1920, and for how much duration the incentive will be given? 4 to 6 year period. Okay, so see, again here the important thing you should understand. Okay, so see, that scheme is important. Production linked incentive scheme, government has launched. Incentive will be given on increased production. Base year for that is 2019-20. Okay, based on the increased production, government will be giving 4 to 6% of the incentive. Apart from that, that will be ranging for next 4 to 6 year period. Okay, that is the overview of that scheme. Now see, 1.97 lakh crore has been here earmarked in the union budget. Okay, 2021 for the PLI program. Okay, how much is the provision for the union budget? The provision is around 2 lakh crores. Okay, for 13, now it is a 14 important sector on the PLI scheme. So which sector are included in the production linked incentive scheme? Which sector are included? So you can see here, mobile manufacturing and special electronic component, then critical key starting material, drug intermediaries, active pharmaceutical ingredients, then manufacturing of medical devices, automobile and the auto components, pharmaceutical drugs, specialty steel, telecom and networking production. So these are the sector basically which are included in the production linked incentive PLI scheme. Okay, now you can see here the next, electronic technology product, white goods. White goods here refer to the LEDs, white goods. Okay, food products, textile products, high efficiency and the solar modules, advanced chemistry cell batteries, and the now drone components also. Okay, so these are basically 14 sectors which are included in the production linked incentive scheme. These are the traditional and widely employed government method for increasing the production of the products. Okay, so basically that scheme is nothing but for increasing the give the boost to the entrepreneurs so that they will increase the production and it will give boost to the GDP. Now see, considered the important for the job creation, social welfare and taxation. So for that scheme, that production is increased. If production is increased, that means GDP will increase. So GDP increase means taxes will increase. Okay, so government also will get good revenue by the way of taxes. So it is good, will be win-win situation basically for the GDP and the economy. So job will be created. Okay, so this is just a fundamental of that scheme. Now this scheme, production linked incentive, simply financial incentive for enterprises to increase the output. They might take that in the form of tax benefit, or reduce the import or export leaves, or that means basically reduction in the export taxes, export levies, or reduce the land acquisition requirement. Okay, so these are the way by how much or by which the entrepreneurs will can claim their subsidy or the incentive. Now see some of the either scheme to promote the MSME. There are some other schemes also. Udyami Mitra portal. So these are launched by JAIIB for improving the accessibility of a credit and hand-holding services to MSME. Okay, so Udyami Mitra portal. Okay, so remember Udyami Mitra portal was launched by JAIIB. For what? For to increase the simply credit flow or increase the loan, penetrate more loan. Now MSME Sambandh. What is this scheme? See, MSME Sambandh is to monitor the implementation of the public procurement from the MSME by the central public sector enterprise. So whatever the government organizations, government enterprises, it may be the public sector banks or other government units, on that whether they are implementing the government scheme or not. For that purpose, MSME Sambandh is a scheme which is initiative to monitor it. MSME delayed payment portal. MSME delayed payment portal is that will empower micro and small entrepreneurs across the country to directly register their cases relating to the delayed payment by central ministries, departments, CPSEs or state governments. So basically, if any business person or the industrialist or the entrepreneur is supposed to get some incentive or the subsidy which is delayed, so he can go to the MSME delayed payment portal. Okay, which is portal, basically he can register the case here and then it will be resolved. Okay, now digital MSME scheme. This scheme involved use of the cloud computing, where MSME uses the internet to access common as well as the tailor-made IT infrastructure. So basically, the digital MSME scheme means the businesses should involve more cloud computing, artificial intelligence, internet. Okay, so these are the basic scheme. Apart from that, Prime Minister Employment Generation Program. This is the credit linked subsidiary program for the MSME. You know this scheme, PMEGP is called as the Pradhan Mantri or a Prime Minister Employment Generation Program, PMEGP. This scheme provides a subsidy to the young entrepreneurs or the women entrepreneurs, and it ranges around 33%. I think 30 to 35% is subsidy on the amount of loan. So this is very important initiative. Okay, Prime Minister Employment Guarantee Program, PMEGP. The scheme of a fund for a regeneration of the traditional industry. In short, it is called as the Sfurti scheme of a fund for registration of a traditional industry. It organizes the traditional industry and artisans into cluster to make them competitive by enhancing their marketability and equipping them with improved skill. So this is basic scheme called as the Sfurti, SFURTI scheme for the fund for a regeneration of a traditional industry. So what are the traditional industries? To regenerate them, basically it is the scheme. Okay, so good scheme. This is also one of the good scheme. So this is just overview for you. Okay, you don't need to remember something. Okay, here is just some scheme which are similar, which are promoting to the MSME. Now see next, a scheme for production of innovation, rural industry and the entrepreneurs, are called as the Aspire scheme. A scheme for production of innovation, rural industry and entrepreneurs, Aspire scheme. It create new job, reduce the unemployment and promote the entrepreneurship culture, facilitate the innovative business solution. Next scheme is National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program, NMCP, to develop the global competitiveness among the Indians. Okay, by providing their progresses, design technology and the market access. Next is Micro and Small Enterprises Cluster Development Program, MSECDP. It adopts cluster development approach for enhancing the productivity and competitiveness as well as the capacity building of the MSME. Next is Credit Linked Capacity Scheme. Credit Linked Capacity credit linked capital subsidy scheme. This is important. Okay, credit linked capital subsidy scheme. It is operational for the upgradation of the technology for MSME. Okay, so this is important. You remember this. If the company has to upgrade its technology, okay, for example, a company is having manufacturing unit. Now company want to purchase some machinery for more production. Okay, and with the involvement of the technology, it may be using different CNC machines like that for technology upgradation, for operational technology upgradation. The scheme is credit linked capital subsidy scheme. Capital subsidy scheme, CLCSS, important. It is generally implemented through the banks. Okay, now next, summary. Okay, so what we have learned, we learn how MSME are important. Okay, so now see here, MSMEs are one of the important driver for the economic growth, right? And employment, MSME sector is the employment potential at a low capital cost. The benefit of the MSME is this sector this sector is having huge employment potential at a low cost. Okay, so MSME are very much important and they are the driver of economic growth. Now MSME sector contributes, we can say, 45% for the manufacturing production, 40% of the export, and 28% of the GDP. Around 120 million people, or you can say 111 million people, are employed directly in the MSME. Priority sector lending target for the banks, including domestic commercial, but excluding the RRB and SFB that we have discussed. And the foreign banks having more than 20 branches is 40% of the ANBC or COEB, whichever is higher. Okay, so the target we have discussed, priority sector target is 40%. As per the latest data, 36.1 million MSME units are there in the India. Okay, so how much units? 36.1 million units are the in the India working as MSME, and they contribute approximately 6.11% of the manufacturing GDP, 24.6% of the service sector in the GDP. So see how huge MSME operate in the India. Now Make in India initiative was based on the 4 pillar. Importantly, new processes, new infrastructure, new sector, and the new mindset, that you have to remember. Okay, 4 pillars. Now we have also discussed the Startup India scheme. What's that scheme? Mainly to support the individual or the businesses. Okay, for how much, by what way that scheme benefit them? By the way of a better finance, that may include the tax break, that means less taxes. Okay, and ensuring that the process of establishing a startup is smooth. That is nothing but the Startup India. What is the production linked scheme? To increase the production, that scheme is basically launched. Okay, and currently PLI scheme has around 13 to 14 sector. In book it is given 13, but it is now updated to 14 sectors. Okay, so that scheme is important for increased production. Government is giving 4 to 6% of a subsidy for next 4 to 6 year, and base year is 2019-20 for the PLI. Udyami Mitra portal, it is launched by SIDBI, and it is to improve the accessibility of the credit to the MSME. Okay, so scheme launched by SIDBI, you remember. Here you remember the Udyami Mitra portal launched by SIDBI. So they may ask you the question like that: which of the following is scheme launched by SIDBI? Or they may ask you, the Udyami Mitra portal scheme is launched by SIDBI, RBI, SBI, ICICI. Like that there will be a question. So remember, Udyami Mitra portal is launched by the SIDBI. Now see here some sample questions. Which of the following is not a priority sector? So which of the following is not a priority sector? MSI is priority sector, social infrastructure is priority, agri is priority, but IT is not the sector in the priority sector. As per the new definition of MSME, investment in the plant and machinery does not exceed how much for the micro enterprises? For a micro, medium, and small we have discussed. For a micro it is 1 CR, investment is 1 CR, and turnover is 10 CR. Okay, so it is 1 lakh crore. For investment for a micro is 1 CR, for a medium it is 10 CR, and for small it is 50 CR. Okay, so in this way you can remember. And also turnover is another criteria. Okay, here the question is about only investment. Okay, so these type of question you can expect in the examination. Okay, so for a micro, what is the investment? Up to 1 CR. Now, which of the following is not a pillar in the Make in India program? So we discussed that there were 4 pillar: new processes, new infrastructure, new sector, and new mindset. Okay, new government is not the pillar. Which among the following is not a part of the PLI sector? Production linked incentive sector. There are 13 sectors given in your book, but as per the latest data, there are 14 sector now. Okay, one added. So pharmaceutical drug is there, food product is there, special steel is also there, specialty steel or the steel products, but agriculture is not included in the remember in the production linked incentive scheme. Okay, agriculture not included. Now see, here we come to the end of this slide. So now we'll be ending this session here, and we'll continue our discussion in the next video. Meanwhile, you can join our Telegram group. There is group on Telegram. Okay, you can search for that Bankers Zone. You can search Bankers Zone JAIIB. Okay, or you can search directly in the Telegram at the rate CAIIBBZ. Okay, you can directly search this for CAIIB. Actually, for JAIB you can directly search at the rate CAIIBBZ. For JAIB, simply put it here JAIIBBZ. Okay, so here I will stop, and we'll continue our discussion in the next session.